Our guest on This is America in the World is Manasvi Srisodapol. He's the ambassador from the Kingdom of Thailand to the United States. The ambassador formerly served as Director General of Thailand's Department of Information, Minister Counselor of Thailand's mission to the United Nations, and ambassador to Poland and Belgium. We met at the Royal Embassy of Thailand in Washington. Ambassador, so good to be with you today. Thank you for your hospitality.
Greetings, Dennis, and greetings to your viewers.
Thank you so much. Your team, your staff have been absolutely wonderful to us.
Thank you. We're really excited to talk to you and your viewers and to share some ideas about Thailand.
Tell me 2 or 3 things that all of us should know about Thailand.
Well, first of all, Thailand is ancient. So as I mentioned, it's an ancient country. We became a kingdom from the 14th century, and then subsequently, as the situation changed, we moved from Sukhothai to Ayutthaya, our capital, and then to Bangkok. Now we're in the Bangkok era, which is called the Chakri dynasty. Chakri dynasty is around 240 years, the same time as Bangkok, when the King Rama I, he established Bangkok as the capital city. So we're very ancient, and we've been a kingdom since the 14th century, and the tradition continues today. Secondly is that we're connected, because we're in the middle of Southeast Asia. We're a mainland country, but we also have parts of Thailand that cross to the peninsula and onto the archipelagic part of the geography. And we straddle across the Gulf of Siam and the Andaman Sea. So we're coastal, a littoral state, but we're also a mainland state. So mainland, we are connected with other countries in mainland Southeast Asia through the Mekong River, which you may know about.
So what are the neighboring countries?
So the neighboring countries are the immediate neighboring countries: Malaysia, Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia. Yes.
I interrupted you with 1, 2, 3. Do you have a third idea?
The third one is, you can say we're a very cultural society, fun-loving people, and we have festivals, for instance, that cut across everything from Christmas to New Year to our own Songkran festival, where we splash water on people, and then we have Loi Krathong, which it's a festival that tries to place the importance of water in our lives.
Yes.
And many more.
Population is what?
The population of Thailand is currently almost 70 million, approximately 70 million people.
And the capital is Bangkok?
The capital is Bangkok, and it's a multi-ethnic society. We have descendants, the Chinese, the Mons from our neighboring country, the Khmers from Cambodia. So it's a multi-ethnic country. I think there's around 70 ethnic groups in Thailand.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So Bangkok is capital, but then there's famous areas up north, and also, which I guess are more mountainous, and then down south, which is more beaches. Right. Is that correct?
Yes. So as I mentioned, we're mainland. At the top of Thailand, there's a mountain range, and then below there's the sea, coastal area. So you will see that because of our topography, when it rains, the water from the mountains flow down to the sea. And that is why we have also been called the rice bowl of Asia, because with the rainfall and the flow of the water going down to the sea, we can capture the water to produce rice, and we are one of the main rice exporters of the world.
Just to back up or go sideways for a little bit, you mentioned, so it is a monarchy.
Yes.
So there is a present king?
Yes, we're a kingdom.
Yes.
So with the kingdom, and presently we have what they call a constitutional monarchy.
Okay.
So we have the king, and we also have the constitution, and the king is above the politics, but we have in our parliamentary democracy, we have an elected prime minister, an elected government. Okay. They form parties to form a government, a multi-party system, and we have an opposition. We have parliament where we have the Senate as well as the House.
Oh.
So bicameral. So
what would be some domestic issues that the country, the parliament is dealing with? What's going on in the country that you're dealing with over there?
Well, it's about how to move Thailand forward. I think that's the main theme for all Thais, is how we can move, advance forward. Before, we used to be an agrarian society. Now we've moved towards a manufacturing economy, and then hopefully we will try a little bit more to add value to the products and add value to the economy more. So,
how about
so the focus of the parliament has been about reforming Thailand, and so many of the policies or the legislation have been about reforming and then making Thailand more progressive.
Do you get the kids out on the street, the young people out on the streets protesting?
Yes, yeah, like everywhere around the world, we do have protests, and some. As a younger generation, I myself also was able to witness some demonstrations, and then every time we try to progress further, and that is part of the Thai democracy.
I read an article in, I think, the Bangkok Post,
yes,
that if people were very wealthy, they could now buy land over there. Is that true?
Thai people?
No, foreigners.
They can buy land, but it's not actually owning the land.
Oh.
They will have, it depends on the investment that they will make. But what they can do now is buy condominiums.
Oh, okay.
But by buying land, it's more like limited by the number of years of the investments that they have.
So that would be for the wealthy people. That doesn't include us.
Not yet, but unless you marry a Thai, and then you can.
Okay.
Your wife can own the land.
Okay. On that note, we'll say to the folks at home, we're talking with the ambassador from the Kingdom of Thailand to the United States, and just getting an education about this wonderful, wonderful country. I've been there. I've visited there. The people are so warm and friendly, and it has to be put at the top of your travel list. We'll take a little break. Back on the other side. This is America and the World. This is America and the World is made possible by the Japan-America Society of Washington, D.C., the Republic of Uzbekistan, the Sultanate of Oman, the Kingdom of Morocco, 21st Century Citizenship, the Frank Islam and Debbie Dreisman Foundation, the Forerunner Foundation, the Rotendaro Family Trust, and the Embassy Series, Uniting People Through Musical Diplomacy. Thailand and the United States enjoy a positive and productive investment and trade relationship, and of course, tourism is very important. Before the pandemic, more than 1 million Americans visited Thailand each year. I've been there, and I can assure you, Thailand is a beautiful country. The warmth and hospitality of the Thai people are outstanding, and of course, the food is delicious. Economically, big things are on the horizon in Thailand.
Recently, over the past few years, we've been trying to move up the value chain. And under the current government, we're proposing an economic model called bio-circular green economy. So this bio-circular green economy, in short BCG, is hopefully will help drive Thailand forward in the value chain using our biodiversity. Okay, and to try to induce technology and to move, Thailand through better innovation and in a sustainable manner to our environment.
So a real move over the years from agriculture to textiles and manufacturing now into technology, biodiversity, things of that nature.
Digital economy as well.
Yeah. So that's a real a run of progress over, what would you say, the last 30, 40, 50 years?
We were in the middle income trap, when we started with the manufacturing, but now because of the labor production costs, we have to find another model for us to go further. The BCG is actually under the current government. So the current government is an elected government that came into power in 2019. So they introduced the bio-circular green economy as part of their effort to try to move Thailand up the ladder scale, up the value chain, but at the same time also to be cautious about the environmental impact.
What would you say is, it's an export economy, right?
Yes.
A lot of exports?
Yes. 60% of our GDP is from export.
And what are you exporting?
Well, all sorts of things, cars.
Yes.
We were considered the Detroit of Asia. Motorcycles, auto parts, electronics, jewelry, and agricultural.
Big on pickups.
Pickups,
trucks,
yes.
Right?
Trucks. Pickup truck is doing quite well.
Is there investment opportunity in
Oh,
Thailand?
Definitely. Because I mentioned about Thailand moving up the value chain, we're trying to encourage investors to bring their innovation and technology to the Thai economy.
And what kind of businesses are you looking for?
All sorts. We have at least 10 sectors where we want to promote investments in the pharmaceutical or in the medical field, in the logistics field, because we're connected to all countries in the region. So we want to improve and upscale our logistics in the robotics, robotics and other, technologies, new technologies. Yeah.
So you're into science and technology and medicine and robotics
Yes.
and things like that. I mentioned as we were going to the break the warmth and hospitality of the people. What would you say is at the heart of the culture of Thailand?
The heart of the culture of Thailand, first of all, like I mentioned, we're a fun-loving society.
Yeah.
We have festivals all year round, and because we're an ancient country, the Thai culture has been nurtured throughout the centuries, and we have what we would consider a unique culture that can be shared. So many things. Food is one of them. We are very meticulous in preparing our food, our dances, and so many other customs that we have developed and nurtured over the time.
Talk about the greeting of...
Yes. Why?
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about what's that all about.
Well, why is, whereas in the Western society you have shaking of hands, for us it's showing of hands, with respect. And then there's three types of why. One is where you say hello, greetings to your peers and friends, the same age group. You put it close to your chest. The second, when you talk to someone more senior or higher ranking, then you put them up to your above your nose. And then when you see the monks, then it goes all the way up to. So very, very delicate way of why. So people who may not be familiar think it's just enough to put their hands together, but we there's different ways to say hello.
And the pronunciation of that word, it's spelled W-A-I, right?
Yes. Why? Why?
Buddhism has had a huge effect on the country.
Yes. Buddhism is, I think the majority of Thais are Buddhists, around 80%, but we're open and tolerant to other religions. We have Christian faith in Thailand. We have the Muslims, around 3,000 masjids. We have 40,000 temples, numerous churches in Thailand, and the Catholic Church, and also the Church of Latter-day Saints are also in Thailand.
When COVID came, it must have been crushing on the tourism industry. I mean, it was over.
Yes.
I mean, nobody traveled. Where is the tourism industry now in Thailand, and what are you doing special to open it up, attract people?
Yeah. Tourism is extremely important for Thailand because it accounts for 1/5 of our employment. So when COVID struck Thailand at one point in September 2020, I think we were 90% all our tourists disappeared. Sure. And it affected the economy significantly. Today, I think that with the circulation of vaccines, and thanks to America, we received a donation of 2.5 million doses of vaccines. We are very grateful. So that has helped us to open up little by little until July, where we more or less opened up completely. Before, during the COVID period, we required quarantine for 14 days. And now that doesn't exist anymore. Before, we required so many documents before you could arrive in Thailand, plus a very high insurance requirement as well. Now that has been done away with.
You mentioned the United States as far as the vaccines are concerned. How would you characterize the relationship between the United States and Thailand today?
Well, I mentioned that we're going to celebrate 190th anniversary of our diplomatic relations. We are one of the first Southeast Asian countries to recognize and have diplomatic relations with the US. So we have an extremely long standing relationship, and that relationship has been nurtured not only by people-to-people contacts, but also in the defense cooperation, in the economic cooperation as well, where there are several hundreds of US companies that have made Thailand their home, second home, if I can say. So, and then they use Thailand as a hub to export products that they produce in Thailand throughout Asia, especially in Southeast Asia, where we have what they call an association of Southeast Asian nations that has formed a free trade area. So production in Thailand can also afford the investors the market of 700 million consumers.
Wow.
Yes.
Coming down to the end of our time, what do you see as your mission as ambassador from the kingdom?
I can say that over the past few years, especially during COVID, the engagement has diminished a little. And when I arrived to Washington last year, my mission was to try to re-engage U.S. with Thailand. And I'm happy to say that that the U.S. Side has responded extremely positively. Over the past year, we've had visits from the White House, from the State Department, where Secretary Blinken was in Thailand in last week. Secretary Austin from the Pentagon was also in Thailand a couple of weeks earlier. USTR Ambassador Catherine Tai was there in Thailand, because right now Thailand is chair of APEC. So this chair of APEC would hopefully help us to engage the US at the highest level, because we will have a summit in November, and we do hope that the US will have a strong and high presence at the summit.
You mentioned APEC.
Yes.
Tell the folks what that means.
Well, APEC is the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation. It has a member of 21 economies, and it has been trying to integrate countries in the Pacific with countries in Asia for economic prosperity. And then it spans from America, Canada, all the way to some countries in Latin America, and also in Southeast Asia and Northeast Asia. So it's an expansive, broad area.
I'd like to ask ambassadors, as we end the interview, to tell me something about life.
Yes.
So here you sit as ambassador from Thailand to the United States. As a human being, what's the most important lesson you've learned in your life so far?
Well, the best lesson is meeting people and also visiting places. I visited New Orleans just a couple of days ago. I was able to try different types of cuisine there, and also to experience the weather. And the weather, surprisingly, is not that different from Thailand. Yeah. It's quite hot and humid, and the rain is also quite strong. So wherever you travel, you can always try to experience things that you think are different but are not really that different. And for me, I've traveled since I was born. I was born in Japan, and 8 months later I found myself in Thailand, and then subsequently to many other countries, because my parents were diplomats. And after they retired, then I became a diplomat myself, and I've had several overseas trips. And each time you try to understand human beings, and also fellow citizens of the world. You try to understand their concerns and their interests, and we're not actually that different. But the communication part is the most challenging one, because if you've never been to that area, that region, or that country, then you will not really appreciate their own particular concerns and interests. So as a diplomat, I think that's the most satisfying part of my career, which is to meet people. Secondly is once you meet them, how can you engage with them? How can you build up cooperation? How can you organize things with them? And how can you invite them to Thailand? And also invite Thai businesses to the country where you're residing. And I'm happy to say that for America, we have companies, Thai companies, big global sized companies that are present in the United States, both in the energy field, in the food business and many other areas. So very interesting, and hopefully the interaction between Thailand and the United States will increasingly become two-way.
Mr. Ambassador,
Thank you.
thank you so much for the education,
Thank
for
you.
your warm hospitality.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Okay. สวัสดีครับ สวัสดีครับ สวัสดีครับ
For information about This is America in the World, visit our YouTube channel, This is America TV, visit our website, thisisamerica.net, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. You can listen to all of our ambassador interviews on our podcast, The Ambassador Series. It's available on our website and iTunes. This is America and the World is made possible by the Japan-America Society of Washington, D.C., the Republic of Uzbekistan, the Sultanate of Oman, the Kingdom of Morocco, 21st Century Citizenship, the Frank Islam and Debbie Dreisman Foundation, the Forerunner Foundation, the Rotondaro Family Trust, and the Embassy Series, uniting people through musical diplomacy.